The quiet of Arthur's house felt heavier than usual that morning. 6 months had passed since Eleanor, his beloved wife of 40 years, had been taken by a sudden illness, and the silence she left behind was a physical presence, a constant, dull ache in his chest. Arthur, a retired accountant, had always been a man of quiet routine, finding comfort in numbers and predictability. Eleanor, though, had been the vibrant thread weaving through his life, full of laughter, warmth, and an endless capacity for noticing the world and the people in it. Now the routines felt empty, the numbers meaningless. At 65, he found himself adrift, unsure how to navigate the vast, unmapped territory of a life lived alone. He decided impulsively to go to the train station, not to travel, just to sit and watch the world go by. Eleanor had loved train journeys, the sense of possibility, the fleeting glimpses of lives lived as the landscape rushed past. Sitting on a bench on the busy platform felt like a small act of remembrance, a way to feel close to her amidst the ebb and flow of strangers. The station was a microcosm of life. Hurried commuters, excited travelers with worn suitcases, tearful goodbyes, joyful reunions. Arthur watched, a silent observer, the noise and movement a distraction from his own stillness. He noticed her sitting alone on a far bench, a little girl, perhaps 10 or 11, huddled in a threadbare coat that was too thin for the crisp autumn air. She had a small, worn backpack beside her. Her face was smudged, her eyes wide and darting, filled with a vulnerability that clawed at something deep inside him. She looked utterly lost. People bustled past her, oblivious, caught up in their own trajectories. Arthur hesitated. He wasn't the kind of man who easily approached strangers, especially a lone child. Prudence whispered warnings in his ear. But then he thought of Eleanor, her quick sympathy, her inability to ignore someone in need. What would Eleanor do? The question was a familiar compass in his life now. He walked over slowly, careful not to startle her. He stopped a few feet away. "Hello," he said, his voice gentle. "Are you all right, dear? Are you waiting for someone?" The girl looked up, startled, her eyes meeting his. For a moment she didn't speak, just eyed him with a mixture of fear and wary hope. Then her small voice, barely a whisper, reached him over the din of the station. I I missed the train, and I lost my ticket, and my money." Her lower lip trembled. "I don't know what to do." Arthur's heart squeezed, lost, alone, and just a child. He remembered the simple kindness Eleanor had shown to everyone, the way she believed in helping, no matter how small the gesture seemed. This wasn't small. This was a child in distress. He sat down, leaving a respectful space between them. "Oh dear," he said softly. "That's a tough spot to be in." He looked at her backpack. "Were you trying to get somewhere specific?" "To my aunt's," she said, her voice gaining a little strength. "In Brookfield. It's a long way." Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't have anyone else." Arthur nodded. Brookfield was indeed several stops away. He looked at the timetable displayed above the platform. The next train wasn't for a few hours. "Have you eaten?" he asked. She hesitated, then nodded, her eyes dropping. Not, not today." His mind began to work, not with calculations of finances or logic, but with simple human compassion. "Look," he said, standing up. "My name is Arthur. I was just about to get some lunch at the station cafe. It's warm inside. Would you like to join me? We can figure things out while we eat." She looked up again, her eyes searching his face. After a long moment, she gave a small, tentative nod. "Okay," she whispered. He took her to the small, bustling cafe, finding a quiet corner table. He ordered her a warm meal, soup, bread, and a glass of milk, and got himself a cup of tea. As she ate, slowly at first, then with more appetite, she started to talk, haltingly at first, then with growing trust. Her name was Lily. She had been in a temporary foster home that hadn't worked out, and she was trying to reach an aunt she barely knew, her last known relative. The bus fare had been saved up, the train ticket bought, but the journey had gone wrong. Arthur listened, his heart heavy. No child should face such daunting circumstances alone. He asked about her aunt, writing down the name and town. He promised her they would figure it out, After she finished eating, looking visibly more relaxed, Arthur went to the ticket counter. He bought her a new ticket to Brookfield, making sure it was for the next available train. Then he approached the station master, a kind-faced woman named Brenda, known for her helpfulness. He explained the situation, introducing Lily, and asked if Brenda could keep an eye on her until the train arrived and perhaps help her board safely. Brenda, her face full of sympathy, readily agreed. "I'll make sure she's looked after, sir," Brenda assured him, giving Lily a reassuring smile. "Don't you worry." Arthur returned to Lily, giving her the new ticket. "Here you go, Lily. Brenda here will help you get on the right train. She's very kind." He looked at the worn backpack. "Is there anything else you need?" Lily looked up at him, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. She fumbled in her backpack and pulled out a small, slightly crumpled drawing, a crayon picture of a wonky house with stick figures. It's, it's for you," she said shyly, holding it out. "Thank you, Arthur, for everything. I won't forget." Arthur took the drawing, his throat tight. "You're very welcome, Lily," he said, his voice a little thick. "You be safe now, and I hope your aunt is lovely." He stayed until Lily was settled in Brenda's office, watching from a distance as Brenda offered her a warm drink and a comforting word. Then, with a final look, he turned and left the station. He carried the drawing carefully in his coat pocket. The train whistle blew in the distance, a mournful sound that somehow felt a little less lonely than it had that morning. The memory of Lily, her grateful eyes, the simple drawing, stayed with him. He kept the drawing pinned above his desk, a reminder of a fleeting connection, a life touched. Life in Oak Haven continued its quiet pace. Arthur started volunteering more actively at the local community center, helping with their adult literacy program, finding a quiet satisfaction in helping others find their footing. The ache of grief for Eleanor never fully disappeared, but it changed, becoming less sharp, layered now with a sense of gentle purpose. Years turned into a decade, then more. Lily's drawing faded slightly, but Arthur never took it down. He often wondered what had become of her, if she'd reached her aunt, if her life had found a smoother path. He hoped she was happy, safe. One crisp spring afternoon, Arthur was at the community center, helping Mrs. Gable, the center's cheerful and endlessly energetic coordinator, organize a book sale. They were sorting through boxes of donations when a young woman approached them. She was in her early 30s, perhaps, with kind eyes and a confident but gentle demeanor. She looked vaguely familiar, but Arthur couldn't place her. "Mrs. Gable," the young woman said, smiling. "Hello, my name is Sarah Jenkins. I'm a social worker with the county services. I'm doing some outreach, looking to connect with community resources for youth." "Oh, Sarah, lovely to meet you," Mrs. Gable exclaimed. "We're always looking for ways to help our young people. And this is Arthur, one of our most dedicated volunteers." Sarah turned to Arthur, her smile warm. "Arthur," she said, extending a hand, "it's a pleasure." As Arthur took her hand, something in her eyes and her voice stirred a distant memory. Sarah glanced at him, then her eyes widened slightly in recognition. "Arthur," she repeated, a note of surprise entering her voice. "Arthur Evans?" Arthur felt a jolt. "Yes," he said, a little bewildered. Do I know you?" Sarah's smile grew, a slow, beautiful blossoming. "You might not remember me directly," she said, her voice softening, "but I remember you very well. From, from the train station, years ago." Arthur stared at her, the memory surfacing, hazy at first, then coming into sharp focus. The little girl on the bench, the threadbare coat, the lost eyes. It wasn't her, of course, this capable young woman. "But," Sarah continued, her voice filled with warmth, "I was the social worker that day, the one Brenda, the station master, called after you helped Lily." Arthur's breath hitched. "Lily, after all these years." "Lily," he whispered. You, you know what happened to her?" Sarah's eyes were shining. "Yes, Arthur, I do. You see, that day your kindness, it made all the difference. When Brenda called, she told me about you, about the ticket, the meal, how you stayed with her. When I met Lily, she had the ticket you bought her clutched in her hand, and that little drawing she gave you. She told me all about the kind man who helped her when she was lost and scared. She paused, taking a deep breath. Lily didn't make it to her aunt's. Not directly. The aunt wasn't in a position to take her permanently. But because she wasn't alone, because you had connected her with Brenda and me, we were able to place her in a wonderful foster home here in the county, a family who were looking for a daughter exactly like her. She thrived, Arthur. Absolutely thrived. Tears welled in Arthur's eyes, blurring Mrs. Gable's astonished face, the stacks of books around them. Lily, she had been all right. More than all right. She finished school, Sarah continued, her voice full of pride. Went to college, and she became a social worker, Arthur. Like me. She said it was because of the kindness shown to her that day at the station, by you and by her foster family, that she wanted to spend her life helping others, especially young people who are lost or alone. She said she wanted to be that light for someone else, just like you were for her. Arthur could barely speak past the lump in his throat. His small act, born of a quiet man's grief and a fleeting memory of his kind wife, had rippled outwards, changing a life, inspiring a purpose. She's actually working in the next county now, Sarah added, but she often talks about that day, about the kind man at the station. She wished she could find you again, just to thank you properly. It's something she's always wanted. Arthur wiped his eyes with a handkerchief, a profound sense of peace settling over him. I would very much like to see her, he said, his voice raspy with emotion. More than anything. Sarah arranged the meeting. It wasn't back at the station, but at a quiet park near the community center, a place that felt serene and hopeful. When Lily, no longer a small, scared child, but a confident, compassionate woman, walked towards him, Arthur felt his heart fill to bursting. She looked just like the faded drawing she had given him, but vibrant, alive, her eyes still holding that spark, but now filled with warmth and strength instead of fear. They didn't rush. They sat on a bench under a blooming tree and Lily told him her story, her journey through the foster care system, the loving family who took her in, her decision to become a social worker, her work with vulnerable youth, carrying forward the torch of kindness she had received. Arthur, she said, taking his hand, her grip firm and warm, you changed my life that day. You didn't have to stop. You didn't have to help. But you did. When I felt like the world had forgotten me, you saw me. You gave me hope. You put me on the right path, in more ways than one. Tears streamed down her face now, not of sadness but of gratitude and love. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Arthur held her hand, tears falling freely down his own cheeks. Oh, Lily, he murmured, you have made this old man so incredibly proud. Seeing the woman you've become, knowing that little bit of kindness mattered, it means more to me than you could ever know. You were Eleanor's kindness finding its way in the world. They stayed in touch, of course. Lily became like the daughter Arthur had never had, a bright light in his life. They shared meals, stories, quiet moments. Arthur saw firsthand the incredible work Lily did, helping young people navigate their own difficult paths, offering them the same hope and support she had received. Inspired anew, Arthur deepened his commitment to the community center. He started a mentoring program for teenagers, sharing his quiet wisdom, offering a listening ear. He saw the ripple effect of kindness every day in Lily's life, in the lives of the young people they both now served, in the way his own life, once shadowed by grief, had been filled with unexpected purpose and profound connection. The drawing of the wonky house with the stick figures still hung above his desk. It was no longer just a reminder of a past act of kindness. It was a symbol of the beautiful, unexpected family that had grown from a single quiet moment at a train station, a testament to the enduring power of compassion and the quiet, magnificent way one life reaching out to another can change the world, one heart at a time. And Arthur knew, with a certainty that warmed him from the inside out, that Eleanor would have been so happy. Her job interview was ruined. Until a note.